I've talked about bright light in paintings before. It's a subject that really interests me just from a learning perspective. Like, how do you render bright lights? What's the most effective way to do that? And I think one of the reasons why that comes to mind for me so much is that I'm kind of a muddy painter in a sense that I don't really do a great job of cleaning my brushes, and I tend to get kind of into a mud mixing mode. I'm not as bad as I used to be about that, but I do still do it sometimes. So I think the end effect is that it's really hard for me to keep kind of a pure white or a very light mixture. Sometimes I struggle with that and kind of get into a gunked out mode with things. So like really high contrast paintings are sometimes difficult for me. But so it's a subject that fascinates me, and it's one that I wanted to explore in a really specific way with this painting. So I've seen before, like conceptually, other paintings or even just like graphic images of like a well-framed subject in front of a bright light. And, you know, sometimes it's a circle or a square or a window or it could be a lot of different things. I've seen it rendered in a lot of different ways, but it's a setup that's really fascinated me. I tried to do this and I needed to have some help, so I did some Googling, and then I did some some AI prompt searches, like bright light behind subject and things like that. It wasn't super helpful, unfortunately. I wasn't able to get exactly what I was looking for. So what I ended up doing is just trying to experiment a little bit with the goal in mind, like leave this circle behind the subject just unpainted as best I can, try not to get it muddy, and then just fill in as much as I can and see what I can do there. So one of the things that really got my mind going is looking at lights. So like looking at the light I have over my canvas and looking at just various depictions of a bright white light. I try not to stare too closely at it because I don't want to like damage my vision, but you can see kind of around the outside edges of a really bright light source, you see blue and yellow, like these little rims of these colors. And sometimes they're hard for me to see. And I even asked my kids, I was like, hey, look at this. Don't stare at the light, but when you look at a light, do you see the yellow and the blue? And they said, yeah, they do. So clearly not me hallucinating, but so it's there. There's like a little rim of color there outside of the white or the yellowish white. So I wanted to try to do that as well. So I did in this one. And what I ended up doing is trying to I did some sheer fabric because that's kind of interesting too, like so that the light could shine through it, and a dark room, and I wanted to get that rim of bluish around the white. So I just went pure titanium white behind the subject and dark like blues and dark like kind of umbers and siennas in the subject to try to frame the light in the right way. And I think this effort actually turned out really well. I was surprised about this result. I wasn't sure that it was going to actually work, but when I look at it now, look at the finished result, I really like it. Now, I don't know if it makes sense in terms of does the light look right? I don't know. And I wonder, especially towards the bottom of the painting, if this is actually a circular window or a bright light behind the subject, like an artificial light, electric light, should it have been darker below? Maybe so. But then if the light's behind and shining right onto the back of the subject, I would think it would illuminate the entire back of the subject. So I don't know. I was a little iffy. I don't know if I did that right, but I do really like the painting. So it was a fun experiment, and I think that a result that I'm pretty happy with. So I just thought that was very interesting about the yellow and the blue around the light. So maybe a concept that I want to explore a little bit more and try to render something again. But that's all I have for this one. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you for the next one.